What is up, man? That was amazing. Thanks for coming through. Dude, it's been forever. We've been like trying to get you down here. You're such a busy man. It was such an honor to have you here.
I'm so glad to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. You're such an awesome DJ, man. It's awesome. I love the new sound you're bringing. They're like super summer vibes. And
you know what I did is I went back to the old crate that I used to have when I first started being ROFLCACTUS, and I just tried to go back to like warm, sunny summer vibes, because I feel like that's kind of what the world wants right now.
For
like,
sure.
I had so many years of just like crazy, deep, dark music, and at a certain point, I was like, you know what? Let's just dance. Let's dance in the sun.
I love it, man. I want to get into this. What made you fall in love with music in the first place?
Oh man,
Like, you're such a music aficionado. Before you even started MobileCoin and stuff, like, we waxed poetic about different music for hours on end. And, you know, I'm always interested in what got you on this path.
yeah. So when I was 8 years old, my father put me on his shoulders at a concert at the Shoreline Amphitheater. It was called New Orleans by the Bay. And there was a band called Los Van Van playing. They're the best band to ever come out of Cuba, full stop. And just like a 15, 20-piece orchestra, tons of singers, just like amazing band. And I'm sitting on my dad's shoulders, and he looks at me, and I look at Juan Formel, and Juan Formel kind of like winks at me. And my dad says, "Hey, you ever thought about playing the bass?" And I said, "No," but he said, "Well, why not?" And I said, "Why not?" And so the reason I actually started playing the bass is that my dad actually imported a bass from China. This is like, when you had to email your credit card on eBay. And I remember it showed up one day, and he pulled me out of school at lunch, and he was like, "Hey, I got a crowbar here. Come home." And I went home, and there was a crate in my backyard. And he said, "When I was trying to pick this up at the port, they said, 'How are you importing such a large fish?' Because it's a bass." It was actually just like a giant crate with a bass in it. Yeah. So it was an upright bass that was like fully carved from China. I think he got it for like $400 because
Wow.
the American dollar in China was very strong back then. And so that's how I got started in music. I basically was a jazz musician from the time I was 8 years old until I was like 15, 16, 17. I still play now, but I played professionally from the time I was 12.
Wow, that's incredible. So you were in bands and stuff?
I was in bands. I got paid to play in nightclubs when I was 12 years old, which is really funny.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Are your parents musical? Is your dad a musician, or anybody in your family?
My dad loves music. My mom plays the piano. I would say that my father is he appreciates music just very deeply. That's how I would describe it.
Sweet. That's awesome.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, one of my first memories is like sitting on the carpet and having my dad put a pair of Sennheiser headphones on my head and listening to Cream.
Good man.
Just blasting.
Good man.
Yeah.
That's the way to raise a kid, right? What made you make the shift from playing bass and live instruments to DJing?
I really love live instruments, but there's a level of practice and just dedication that you have to have that isn't quite the same as DJing. Like, I cannot DJ for a year and I can still pick up the sticks and play pretty decently. If I do that with the bass, it's just I'm not going to be able to play at all. So for me, I love DJing. There was a time where I DJ'd every weekend, every day.
I remember.
And now in my life, it's something where I bring it out every now and again, and it's nice to be able to just pull it out. But I think I love electronic music because there's just this level of intensity that you can get with sound that you can't achieve with an acoustic instrument.
100%. I know you're an audiophile to the max. You may be like one of the most specific, like loves really good sound and subwoofers.
Sound is my religion.
It is. It really is. You live and die by that religion, and I know that for sure. What's your favorite sound system?
That's hard.
Do you have a favorite?
I mean, my favorite sound system is the one that I'm standing in front of losing my mind.
Yes, that's the best answer.
That's the right answer. But I think Meyer makes amazing speakers. I think Danley makes amazing speakers. I think that it's really hard for me to say which manufacturer is the best. I can tell you one of the best musical moments of my life was standing in front of the Mayan Warrior when Dixon was playing at Burning Man, and also standing in front of Robot Heart when Dixon was playing at Further Future. And so sometimes it's the speakers and sometimes it's the DJ,
100%. I mean, Dixon's like pretty epic no matter where you see him. I think he could be on a Bluetooth speaker and I would still be blown away.
Dixon is absolutely my favorite DJ, full stop.
Yeah, he's up there for me too as well. I'd love to work with him in the future. It'd be amazing. Where'd you get your name from? I love your DJ name. Is there a funny story behind it, or?
So I like this idea of a cactus sort of rolling around laughing. And it's sort of an idea about like the pain of life. You know, you're a cactus, you're rolling around, you're spiking yourself by kind of rolling around, but you're laughing. And that's kind of what life is. It's enduring pain, in finding enjoyment, finding pleasure in the moment. And I just have this sort of like deep celebration of all the experience of life, the totality of life. And so ROFLCACTUS to me is just the irrational exuberance of existence.
I love that. It's such a silly name with such a great meaning. It's so cool. I'm glad I asked you that. I've been wondering for years.
Yeah.
It's such an
It's just imagine
name.
a cactus rolling around, you know, it's like stabbing itself with its own spines, but it doesn't care. It's happy. It's laughing.
Have you ever thought about producing electronic music at all? Or I know you're like a very busy person, but
I would love to produce music. I feel like that's a labyrinth I could get lost in very easily. I don't have time to do that right now. I would love to do it.
I know it's so much more fortunate.
I would just, I would sit there and I would make music, but that's not my life right now.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it someday. If you ever want to come through and write a tune with me, you're more than welcome to come.
I might take you up on that.
Make some beats. That would be amazing. Let me see. How do you think the tech boom's influenced dance music at all? Like, there's been such a change in technology and everything. How do you think that's influenced modern dance music?
Okay, so the thing that I don't understand is how little we apply sort of neural networks and other technologies like that to the design of speakers. Like, I think there's a real opportunity for somebody right now to completely reimagine how speakers are made using neural networks. Like, Apple started to get into this a little bit with the Apple AirPod or the HomePod, excuse me, and that is an amazing, amazing device. But there's so much more you can do with that. If you want to run a simulation with the latest sort of neural network technology to determine like what is the absolute best sound and the best shape that you can get, I think there's a lot of like sort of low-hanging fruit there that would be very interesting for somebody to explore.
For sure. Yeah, that's actually an interesting way to think about speakers. Yeah, I mean, just in the last 10 years, the amount of just the difference between the speakers in the past 10 years has been incredible. The quality and the depth of music you can get through professional speakers. What kind of music influences you? What do you listen to on your off time?
I listen to everything. I love the new Jack Harlow album that just came out. The Kendrick album's great. I think you just have to be omnivorous as a musician. Like, there's so many different sounds, so many different places to find inspiration. You just have to get after it and find it.
Sweet. Where do you find your music? I dig professionally for a living every week, and like over half the songs you played I'd never heard before. Never heard of the artist, most likely. Where do you get all your stuff?
I spend time on SoundCloud digging. Most of the songs that you heard today were actually from a time in my life where I had like 4 to 6 hours a day to go dig on SoundCloud. And so they're the weird artists that have, you know, like 300 plays, but it's incredibly produced music. It's just, you know, all the details are there. All the sounds are just lining up, and finding those little gems on SoundCloud is just, it's like a treasure hunt.
It is. It really is. It's the best feeling. Like, you listen to 100 bad songs in a row, and then you find that one, you're like, oh, yes.
Yeah. There's the thing that inspires me about humanity is that there's just so much music being made all the time. And not all of it is great. Let's be real. But there are gems being minted all the time. There's new sounds coming out, new ways to like manipulate waveforms, synthesizers, things that you've never heard before. I really started to search for like supernatural sounds is how I would describe it. Like things that you don't encounter in normal life.
I love that. It's my favorite kind of music. I'm obsessed with hearing sounds that I've never heard before. It's like, it's a passion of mine. Like, when I hear a song that has some bass sound in it that I've never heard before, it blows my mind. It's like, how did you do this? Like, there's so many people making music. How did you come up with that one sound? You know, it's really fun.
Where did that sound come from?
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder where all this art comes from and where people pull it from, because I wonder if it was there before the technology existed, or if this is something that's being brought into the ether by the technology. It's something I, stay up late at night thinking about sometimes.
I mean, where does inspiration come from? It comes from meditation. It comes from seeing other people. Good artists imitate, great artists steal. That's a Picasso quote that Banksy stole,
Yeah, 100%. How do you think art, the art world, you're really into art as well, like fine art and just any kind of art. How do you think the art world and the music world intersect with each other?
I mean, art and music are the same culture. They're there together. And I think that art and music, they go hand in hand. You want to be visually stimulated while your auditory senses are being, assaulted, like hearing just crazy amounts of sound while also having a beautiful visual feast. That's existence. That's what we want as humans. And so I think there's some level where having a beautiful bouquet of like visual experiences while also having just the right sound, it makes everything better.
Yeah, it's those moments that are worth living for. Like you get those moments every once in a while and you're just like, this is what life is all about.
Yeah. It's those moments where everything just comes together, where it's like the sound is right, the visuals are right, you're around great people, the weather's good. That's what life's about.
Do you have any favorite memories of musical experiences that have really stuck with you over the years?
Oh, man. So many.
Besides Mr. Bill playing our office.
Mr. Bill playing our office was incredible.
That's a highlight.
I think that one of my treasured memories is just seeing the Charles Mingus Big Band when I was like 8 years old. My dad took me there to Yoshi's in Oakland. And at the end of the set, he basically walked me up to the bass player and I started talking to him, and I'm 8-year-old kid. And I asked him, I said, hey, can I play your bass? Because I knew how to play bass. I was 8. And he was like, sure. And so I went and,
Did you need a step stool?
It was literally like reaching up like this, because it's a full-size bass. And they kind of held it for me. But I got to play a couple notes, and I walked away from it. And I looked back, and my dad said, the thing that makes Charles Mingus's bass special is that the scroll, the wooden part at the top of the bass, is carved into a Chinese lion with ruby eyes.
Wow.
You just played Charles Mingus's bass.
Wow. That's incredible.
And that is my peak musical experience of just generations and the trust of that person to let me play that bass and the kindness. I think one of the things that I really embrace in life is that the world has shown me so much kindness, and I just want to reflect that out to the world.
That's the truth. Like you do that well. Yeah, it's amazing. You live that life for sure. I'd love to talk about the radio a little bit. Like you've been talking about doing MobileCoin radio, I think for years. For years, you've always been like, Mark, we're going to do this thing, MobileCoin radio. And then you kind of called me up and was like, hey, we're going. And we went, and it's been one of the best experiences of my life, if not the best experience. Thank you for trusting me with this and being able to make creative.
It's incredible content.
Yeah, just getting to share and also not only just share content, but support artists through this hard time where people are having a hard time, finding gigs and getting paid. It's been such a blessing, and so many people have benefited from this. So
this pandemic has been brutal, and we wanted to give back. Yeah. MobileCoin Radio was started as a way to help artists in the pandemic.
Yeah, and you did, man. And it's, just not even a question. Just wanted to say personally, publicly, thank you for supporting us, supporting art, supporting independent music, and just art in general. It's an incredible company to work for. But where do you see this going? What would you like to see MobileCoin Radio be in the future once, we're...
So I think MobileCoin is culture. We are trying to tell a story where you matter, where you as an individual, your privacy, your identity, the person that you are, that's important. And we want you to understand that you're special. And it's just that simple. So what I want MobileCoin Radio to do is to amplify every person that has a voice, that has the ability to sing, that can play an instrument, that can make music, that can make people dance. We want to make the world dance.
Amazing. It's the best answer. It's why I love working for you in this company. You know, the ethos in this company is just a beautiful thing. And it's such a privilege to work here and make incredible art every week. So, let's see where we got.
You know, privacy is a very important thing. And we work on a privacy protecting payment system because of the fact that you don't want to live a life where you fear surveillance capitalism. That's just not how anyone wants to live. And I think that we have strived really hard to make something that is different than what other people are doing. And we continue to do that every day.
This is another question I asked all the artists, and I'd love to ask you, what are your thoughts on privacy in the act of creation?
Yeah. I think privacy is necessary for any sort of new endeavor. If you want to make something in the world, you need a studio. You need a private space. It's extremely hard to improvise, a symphony. I think you have to have that quiet space, that time to reflect, that sort of bastion where you can think as a human and puzzle about what is the right answer. You have to kind of reach into the ether and pull out a new answer.
For sure. I like to have privacy because I like to be able to make mistakes without judgment.
Yeah.
I like to experiment and not have somebody, like, I love collabing with people, but it's such a different vibe when you're working with somebody in a studio than when you're working home alone. It's a lot of stress, and it's a lot of like, are they judging me for what I'm doing? Because I know it doesn't sound good, but I'm trying to find this thing. So like, I highly need privacy when I'm starting stuff. I'd like to collab, but even then, like, I work better if I'm collabing with somebody and we're not in the same space for some reason.
I just imagine like trying to learn math where everyone is making fun of you while you're like scribbling on a chalkboard.
Exactly.
That doesn't make any sense. And so from my perspective, creation, intuition, innovation, they all are predicated on privacy. We need to have privacy to be able to do that. And that's why I am such a stalwart supporter of the right to privacy in the world, in America, everywhere. Because individuals make amazing things when they have the space to be creative.
100%. 100%. What do you do in your spare time to relax when you have the little time to relax? I don't even know this question because you seem to work 24 hours a day. So what do you do? What do you do to relax?
What do I do to relax?
Besides dance, I guess you dance a lot.
I dance. That is actually what I do to relax.
You're a great dancer, by the way. Every time we play the Mr. Bill video, everybody's like, who's that dope dancer in the front? And it's so funny. I'm like, yeah, that's just our CEO. So I enjoy watching you dance.
You know, I think that dancing is an expression of your vulnerability within your community. It's a way for you to say that I feel safe. It's a way for you to show that you are capable of exerting kinetic movement without judgment. And to me, it's a sacred space.
Amazing. Before we go, I'd actually just like to talk a little bit about the Safety Net fundraiser that we did together and the Paint the Void. That was such an amazing thing to be a part of. Do you want to talk a little bit about the things that we did together on that?
Yeah, totally. So the Safety Net fundraiser was a fundraiser that was started at the beginning of COVID-19. Basically, we identified, it was a number of people in the Bay Area, Inga, Leslie, Scarlett, Mark, Jonathan. There's so many people who helped out on the Safety Net Fund. And what we built basically was a way for artists to ask for $500. And it was essentially like, if you had made art and you could prove that you had made art, we would just give you $500 as long as you could prove that you were somewhere within the Bay Area. And this sort of grant was life-saving for people at the beginning of the pandemic. It was just the way it came on, it was such a torrent. And then as it got longer, Inga worked with Building 180 to make Paint the Void. And Paint the Void is basically an organization that paid, I think, 190 different muralists in San Francisco
I didn't realize it got that
to
big.
put murals all over the city. And what that did was it took away the urban blight and replaced it with art. They put the boarded up storefronts and they just painted them with murals and they put them there, and it changed the city. In a time when it could have gone really bad, it was a very positive thing.
It was such a important thing to me over the pandemic to be a part of. I hit a really down spot. Of course, I think everybody really did. And to be a part of something like that could really help people and my friends that were hurting was such an honor, and really projected me into this career and really like made me take streaming seriously and doing events seriously. You know, I was a musician and a producer and a production guy before this, and that really changed my life. It really turned the corner. So again, thank you for doing that. Is there anywhere to see? Is there like a place to see any of the what's it called? The paintings or anything? Is there like
there was an exhibition that was recently held in San Francisco. You can go to paintthevoid.org and
sweet.
You'll be able to see it there.
Awesome. I've been meaning to ask you that. I want to check them out. There's so many. I didn't realize there was that many. That's incredible.
A lot of murals.
Yeah, and I think we were doing 10-hour streams too. So I don't know how many artists we paid all together and like gave gigs over the internet. Like some big artists we had on the stream were like, this is the first show I've had in like a year and a half. So yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You know, it takes a community to take care of a community.
For sure. That seems to be the ethos of the environment that we work in too. And it's a pleasure to be here. What's the biggest lesson you've learned over the past like 5 years?
Whoa.
It's a big one, but maybe we'll wrap up with this one. I think I'd love to learn because you probably learned a bunch.
Patience.
Oh yeah.
Over and over and over again, patience. I think there are so many places in life where you can press the gas pedal and cause a lot of damage, and you just have to be patient. And there are times when you have to seize the moment, but they often don't involve a lot of force. They're usually just sort of, you know, you're kind of going along life, you pick up the benefit, and you move on. But applying the gas pedal is generally not something that has yielded a lot of value. I think patience is the biggest thing.
Amen to that. That's for real. I don't know if we have any questions in chat, but I would normally at this point ask the person if they have any shows they want to promote or releases they want to promote. You probably don't. I know that you have a show that we're playing soon, but we can't promote it.
I just want to say that I am tremendously thankful for your work, Mark. I think you've done an incredible job at MobileCoin Radio. And this program is just, it's a work of art.
Thank you. It's just the beginning. We got so many things planned for the future. Can't wait to make more art with you in the rest of the Mob fam. Thank you for tuning in and supporting MobileCoin Radio. We really appreciate it. We are here to support underground music and art and lift the voices of artists in our community. We're here every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Please lock it in. We're away next week. It's our first week off from this year, maybe the last, hopefully. We're just going to be out of town, so don't come next week. We'll be here the week after with Kimothy Leary, my partner in crime, MobileCoin Radio. She is the production organizer for our live events and for a lot of these live streams. She's also an incredible DJ. So we're going to play some music. We're going to talk and hang out. Thanks again for locking in. Oh, big shout outs to Pee-wee for dropping all those subs. Hopefully you enjoy. Always supporting the community, Pee-wee. We appreciate you. My name is Mark. I go by Demoth. This is MobileCoin Radio. Thanks for locking in. We will see you in 2 weeks.
Thank you.
Peace.
Good night.